Hey, what is up everyone? Today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Todesritter Chloe Crochet's mobile suit from the PS3 game, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story Missing Link. So this right here is the upgrade to the Pale Rider, and this is one hell of an upgrade. This thing is way bigger than I expected. But as you can guess from that monochrome box right there, this is a premium Bandai only release, which is a massive shame as usual. But if you do find it hard to get one of your own, I got mine directly from BUYEE, so you will be able to find one there as well, and I'll throw a link down there in the description. Now let's check it out. So first off, a brief overlook of absolutely everything that comes in the box, and I'm sure there's something right there that's standing out to you immediately, and that is this. This kit comes with one hell of a ton of stickers. I will mention that soon in the aesthetics, but that is a lot of stickers. Besides that though, we've got a bunch of incoms, big beam rifle, 4 beam sabers, too big too small, a shield, a bunch of wires, an alternate colored part for the eyes, and a base adapter. But before we take a look at all of the accessories, let's check out the Todesritter itself. So anyway, there is the high-grade Todesritter out of the box, just snapped together with nothing extra done, besides a little bit of pen lining up there in the face just to bring out the detail on that muzzle. This mobile suit is without a single doubt a very unique design, and I think the main reason for that is it's a bit of a mashup between the Earth Federation forces and Neo Zeon. So the Pale Rider right here, that would have been a EFF suit, and I will mention I did not play the game, so I'll just read this right off the wiki so you can get the gist about the Todesritter right here. And basically the gist is the Todesritter is a high-performance mobile suit developed by Neo Zeon in UC0090. It's made from the wreckage of the Pale Rider with assistance from Anaheim Electronics. The Pale Rider's outdated semi-monocoque? Anyway, construction was replaced with a movable frame, and the machine's various hard drive systems were changed to newer versions. The Hades, which is stored in a black box inside the head unit, was left untouched by the Neo Zeon. So yeah, this is a mobile suit that was an Earth Federation Forces suit, destroyed and rebuilt by Neo Zeon with the help of Anaheim Electronics, and it really does show in the design. So as for a quick size comparison, just to show how hefty a mobile suit this is, that's a standard size mobile suit, which is the RX-78-2. Sliding them both over, and there's an example of how tall the unicorn is. So once again, a fairly tall mobile suit. Let's get a bigger one in there. And there is the real grade new Gundam. So height-wise, somewhere between the unicorn untransformed and the new Gundam. So very, very big suit. So now jumping into that full 360 spin so you can see absolutely every angle of the Todesritter yourself, and I'll throw up the original art of this mobile suit on the side so you can compare and contrast. As far as I can see, the color accuracy is not as bad on this kit as that big sheet of stickers kind of implies. Most of the colors are actually here, besides on the venting. So I will get to why there is so many stickers in a minute, but this thing looks phenomenal. It's a big mobile suit, it mixes really cool Neo Zeon and EFF aspects together, and just what can I say? The name Todesritter, which means Death Knight, when you guys mentioned that in one of the last videos, by the way, it is such a fitting name for such a giant, awesome mobile suit. So besides the venting not being color accurate on the internal aspects and some white parts of other vents not being color accurate, a lot of the molding is quite nice, especially up on the head. But anyway, about those stickers, well, in here we got a bit of a Noah's Ark going on, and we've got 2 of every animal. Basically, there's 2 modes to this particular mobile suit, and 1 set of stickers, which is the gray and the green, are for using on that mode. That is normal mode, and the other mode is, just like with the Pale Rider, Hades mode. So as well as this alternate visor for using up on the head, we've got pink stickers for using on the eyes, and a bunch of gold vent stickers for using instead. So I'll just pop a couple of images up on the screen right here. On the left is what it will look like done up to be in normal mode, and on the right is what it will look like done for Hades mode. So these are Bandai's own pre-release images, so more than likely these are painted, not stickers, but it'll give you an idea of what it'll look like with them attached. It's usually at this point I'd go through all the stickers one by one, but there's way too many. Probably the ones to mention the most is these ones right here. These are for underneath the bottom of the wing binder sections around back, and probably the worst set of stickers are the ones over here on the right. These are actually for using on the shield, which is incredibly old school, just one big plank of navy blue plastic. This is definitely the worst aspect of this kit by far, but I will get back to that in the accessories, which, well, we might as well do now. So anyway, jumping right on back to the beginning of the video, there is the high-grade Todesritter with absolutely everything that it comes with. Now let's check them out. So as for the hands we get in here, these are just your standard pair of holding hands, no extras in here. And although they're not physically identical to the ones that came with the Pale Rider, we might as well check out a bit of a compatibility test with the weapon, see if it can attach on there. Okay, try to pop that in. Ooh, feeling a bit tight. Oh, he's gone. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Even though it's a bigger mobile suit, the hands have a smaller slot, so the hands are not directly compatible with Pale Rider weaponry. However, they do look similar enough, so I guess you could just swap the hands if you wanted to. Just like so, but they definitely look a little bit on the too dainty side, I think. But you know, it is an option. As for the onboard weaponry, we've got a pair of Vulcans on the sides of the head, just like with the Pale Rider. These are turrets, not in the head like a standard mobile suit like the RX-78-2. A pair of machine cannons in the chest, like the Vulcans, but bigger. Next up in here, we've got a pair of beam sabers in yellow. Once again, keeping up with the small hands theme, this style of beam saber does have quite a small little handle. These attach into the hands the usual way, just slide them in like so. They mount into the forearms, which is always a pretty cool thing, but I'm wondering, can you mount them in when the beam is active? Because that would be pretty cool. Yeah, there we go. Now that is pretty awesome. We've got ourselves a bit of an Assassin's Creed mobile suit here. If that was not cool enough, we've also got a set of even bigger beam sabers known as hyper beam sabers. Now these obviously do not fit into the hands, and that leads to something extremely cool about this kit. Now the shoulders on the Todesritter already look extremely cool at those big old pointed shoulders, but this high grade has one of the coolest gimmicks included up here. This mobile suit is rocking a pair of sub arms up in the shoulder, so those cool parts that point out almost like big shoulder spikes are actually the elbow of these particular sub arms. So the hyper beam sabers can attach into those little manipulators on the end of those sub arms via a peg. They hold on quite securely, and these have quite a bit of articulation. They only do have 1 point of rotation up at the shoulder, which means they are limited to some degree. It would have been nice to get a little bit more flexibility towards the business end, but still, these are really cool. With all 4 beam sabers attached, that's the 2 standard ones as well as the big old hyper ones, this looks incredible. Again, there is only 1 point of articulation right here, which does limit that, but still you can get pretty much any sort of combination of poses that you would like out of these. Once again, it would have been nice to get something that rotates down here, but still, without a doubt, super cool. When the hyper beam sabers are not in use, you can just pop off the handle, and then the handles can be stored up on the backpack just like so. These can then be used as long-range weapons, which are beam guns. This is a pretty cool use of extra beam sabers. Definitely. So moving on to the long-range weapon we have in here, and first off we've got the Hyper Knuckle Buster. This is the exact same weapon that would have been used by the Gazaumen from Double Zeta, and I'm not sure if this is actually from another kit or not, because just like the shield, this is very basic. It is just 2 pieces of plastic slapped together and a sticker in there for the sight. There is a little bit of a lip there on the bottom of the handle, so that does mean you have to disassemble the hand in order to attach this. And there's what it looks like attached. Once again, it does feel a little bit basic compared to what we've seen with the mobile suit so far, but it gets the job done. And I will mention at first, I did think there was a big seam line on the top of that, but on closer inspection, it does look like some of this is actually intentional because some of it is molded into the plastic. Not on the top of the sight there, but down there in the barrel that is molded in. So not as bad as I thought at first. So next up in here we've got the shield, and like I mentioned earlier on, this is one of the most disappointing aspects of this kit because it is very old school in the fact that there is no color accuracy at all here. It's just all in navy blue, and the only thing that's a different color is the peg round back. It does feel like it's recycled from an older kit, which it might be. This just attaches into the slot on the rear of the forearm, as shields normally do, and on the whole, it is just a big old navy blue slab of disappointment. Once again, the weapons, so far, have been the least impressive aspect of this kit. So next up in here, we've got the 6 remote use weapons known as incoms. Basically a vernier round back, a beam gun up front, and a blade there for physical attacks. This kit includes 2 lengths of wire for using with these. According to the instructions, you can cut these to your desired length. For example, if you want them all the same length, some out further than others, so you can do exactly what you want. So as you can see, these are very long, so if you wanted, you could, well, have one super long one If I had to guess, this is maybe like 1.5 feet or 1.25 feet. Or you can cut these with a nipper to your desired length. So snip we go. So I kind of couldn't decide what to do. So what I went with was 6 equal lengths for using them all together. And 1 super long one for using with kind of long poses. There's an example of what this kit looks like with each one at exactly the same length, and there is what the kit looks like with 1 super long one. Bandai's pre-release pictures also showed using 2 semi-long ones like this right here, of them being deployed over the shoulder, so there's multiple options in here but only a certain length of wire, unless, well, you could just go out and buy more wire, but you will have to make some sort of decision here. When the incoms are not in use, just pull out those wires, slot them into the binder sections round back, and there we go. Once again, they hold in nice and tight, but what isn't tight is this joint right here. I find this just with a little bit of wiggling just ends up coming loose all of the time. That's on both sides, so that is extremely weak. This kit does have a lot of locking joints, and what I mean by a locking joint is like this right here, where the peg is pretty much like a key. It goes into a keyhole shaped hole, and then you turn that around so it's locked into position. That is very, very handy, but it would have been nice if they did it up here as well, because they do pop out quite a bit, but besides that, not too bad. So now moving on to the build and the articulation on this kit, and like I mentioned, these parts are a little bit loose up here. I do find some other parts like to fall apart, and one is the butt flap back here. If you're ever going to grab it, just to like move the arms around or something like that, I find if you press down on this bit of the butt flap, it will just go whammo every single time, and that will pull out this waist piping and everything. On top of that, the second aspect is, and you can probably see it there, already this part of the leg likes to pop, so if you just go up and down a little bit, it is more likely to pop out than your average high grade or joint of that type. Besides that though, it is pretty solid. It's just a couple of parts worth tightening up or maybe gluing into position. So anyway, popping off that backpack so we can check out the mobile suit itself. I will mention the backpack adapter is not the standard one, so if you are planning on kit pashing this, there's going to be some modifications required. The head here is this standard neck joint, which is the double polycap ball joint, so you get pretty much what you'd get from most kits, besides a little bit of a blockedness to the back. The reason for this is that little section there in the back that kind of just clashes with the inside of the neck, so when you try to raise that up, it gets caught on the polycap, so it can't look up very high. The shoulder polycaps are aligned from back to front, so they give a little bit of forward back movement, which is from there to there, so not too bad. Inside the shoulder we do have that sub arm, but we saw that earlier on. Ball joint here. There's the arm all the way up, so a little bit blocked. Full 360. This bit of an armor flap can move up and down. Full 360 spin at the upper arm. Double jointed bend at the elbow, nice. And the standard polycap ball joint wrist right here is joined by this wrist joint that moves down and up like so. The elbow does have a locking mechanism, so if you push it up like so, it does reduce the bend a little bit. Well, the manual says it reduces a little bit, doesn't feel like it reduces a little bit, and it can unlock like so. Next up there's the ab crunch to the front, out to the back, side to side, so mainly just a ball joint and a little bit in here. Front skirting ball joint. One of these polycap ball joints for the side skirting. I'm not the biggest fan of this particular joint because they tend to be a little bit unreliable, but in this kit it is not so bad. Plenty of motion. And then we've got a nice premium butt flap, but don't push down on it too hard or it'll pop off. As for the hip joint, it is one of those shifting forward and back like so to change the angle. Kick all the way up to the front, all the way out to the back. Full splits, 360 spin kick. Very nice double jointed knee bend. That gets us all of that. Very, very nice. We've got a slightly moving thruster, moving ankle armor around on the back too. A mystery slot in the foot that I'm not quite sure what it's for, but I'm guessing will have a purpose either, well, right now or sometime in the future. And on the ground, the ankle gets us all the way to the front there. That's pretty good. Then all the way to the back, not too bad. And as for the side to side pivot, pretty much a little less than average. On the backpack then, we've got a ball joint attaching those big old beam saber beam guns. They can move back and forward like so. As for these sections, we've got rotation there, a bend here, a second point of rotation here, and the propellant tanks are attached by ball joints so they can move around like that. They have a little bit of a wiggle like ball joints do, but that tends to make them pop off. So you do have a little bit of out and in, but not a lot. So as far as the build and the articulation goes, the articulation is quite good, a little beyond basic in some areas, a little bit limited in other areas, and when it comes to the build there are a couple of parts that are a little bit sus, including the hips, where the backpack binders attach, and the butt flap, but besides that it's still a very decent high grade. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and the high grade Todesritter is through and through a silver tier kit. Of course, that means it is what I expect from a high grade in 2020, and that is a good thing. It has its pros and it has its cons, and I definitely feel that the pros outweigh the cons. However, there is nothing really new here, which in essence isn't necessarily a bad thing. Looks-wise, it looks fantastic, it's huge, and it will definitely be noticed in any high grade collection. On the negative side is this is a sticker heavy kit, so you're gonna have to bring a lot of paint or use those stickers if you want it to be 100% fully color accurate, especially that shield. When it comes to the build, it is solid enough, definitely will hold up under normal circumstances, but you will find some parts will fall off every now and then, again completely normal. And finally, when it comes to the articulation, you're gonna get all the poses that you want from the Todesritter without a doubt. So if you want a big, badass hybrid between Earth, Federation Forces, and Neo Zeon, this might be what you're looking for. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you want one of your own, there is a link down there in the description, and as always, I'll see you next time. As always, I cannot end this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys for watching this video, for dropping a like, subscribing, and of course to each and every one of you that supports me over on the channel memberships or over on Patreon, like Craig Jerry, Tyler Sanders, the ambassador for Asymmetric Cats, Caleb Engelhart, Sean T, and Brian Perez.